Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul. And on this bonus episode of the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome James and Rebecca, who are the embodiment of Cameo Rascale, internationally acclaimed circus variety act, dazzling audiences across the globe. We experienced this dynamic husband and wife duo performing exciting acrobatics, mesmerizing juggling, and quick-witted comedy on our recent bucket list 16-day cruise from Hawaii to Alaska. On the second day of the cruise, I saw that the headliner in the theater was a juggler. Jugglers are always a lot of fun, and if you listen to the episode number 2 featuring Ilana of Lifewell Cruise, you might recall her being asked to toss the bowling pin to the juggler and she almost hit him in the head. The video of that is in the episode show notes. I thought perhaps this juggler was the same one. Well, this juggling act, Cameo Rascale, was unlike any I had ever seen. First of all, as mentioned, it was a married couple. James did all the amazing things jugglers do, including juggling axes, knives, and bowling balls. But the acrobatics, dance, and humorous interplay with Rebecca added a unique dimension. We were spellbound and laughing the entire show. And at the end of the show, I was excited when James mentioned they would be performing an entirely different show later in the cruise, which we made sure to get better seats for and had as much fun as the first performance. I am so appreciative they agreed to be on the Joy of Cruising podcast. James and Rebecca, welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Hello.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having us.
So how are you both doing?
Yeah, we're doing really well, actually. Yeah, just got off a cruise ship and just waiting for the next one. So, yeah, doing good.
Did you get over your jet lag yet? I haven't gotten over mine.
It's hard with the time zones, isn't it? Yeah, it's hard to find a good pattern.
So I slept half the day yesterday, and I never take naps in the daytime.
Yeah.
So before we discuss Cameo Rascale, am I saying it right?
That's correct. Yes, well done.
Tell our listeners about yourselves. Where you're from, where do you live, how did you meet? Anything you would like to share?
Yeah, well, we come from Perth, Western Australia, and we're living there at the moment. We've got a house there. I mean, we say we live there, but we travel quite a bit. Maybe like 80% of the year we're actually away from home because we work on cruise ships as an acrobatic juggling act. So yeah, we've been doing that together for 8 years now. We've been married for 2.5. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Just double checking.
Yeah. No, we absolutely love what we do. It allows us to, travel the world. We spend time together. We're pretty much together all the time, which some people may think, oh, is that too much? But we absolutely love it. It's good. But yeah, we just travel the world, do our acrobatic juggling act and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I love cruising. I wish I got to cruise as much as you. In fact, we'll talk a little bit about what's it like to be on a cruise ship that long. But talk about the origins of Cameo Rascale. When I think, James, you were a young child, right?
That's right. Yeah, I started at the age of 4. So mum and dad started the act as Cameo Rascale. Just those two doing some acrobatics. And then when I was 4, I said, look, I want to be a part of the show. And they said, well, you've got to be able to do something. So that's when I learned my first skill called roller bowler. And then from there, it just went on, learned lots of circus skills. And then my sister became a part of the show. So it was a family act. And we did a lot of traveling around the UK at first and then moved on to the cruise ships. And that's where it sort of all began.
So that first skill, what did you call it? Roller bowler?
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
So what is that?
Yeah, it's balancing on like a roller. So you stack lots of objects up on top of each other, and it's just basically a lot of balancing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I saw you doing a much updated version of that. You were doing a roller bowler and juggling at the same time.
Yes, I tried as I got older to make my skills a little bit harder. Yeah.
So let me just tell the listeners, I met James and Rebecca on the 16-day Hawaii to Alaska cruise bucket list cruise that I just completed. So I met you on that ship, and and it was on NCL Spirit, and I saw you perform for the first time on the second day of the cruise. So talk about the current version of Cameo Rascale. When did your act originate? Well, you said eight years ago, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So when James's family retired, when James was about 15 years old, so James actually went to school for 2 years, had a bit of a normal life for only 2 years. And then when he turned
regular school, not right. School for performing.
That's it. I was homeschooled up until that point. Yeah.
Okay.
So then after that, he turned 18 and he decided he wanted to continue cruising and continue Cameo Rascale, the act. But of course, he needed a partner to do so. So that's when he actually found me. I was a dancer all my life. I was studying at full-time college for 2 years. And at the end of my second year, he actually came to my academy and held an audition because he was looking for an assistant. So yeah, we had the audition and then he offered me the job. And yeah, here 8 years later, we've kind of carried on the family legacy of Cameo Rascale, continuing performing. Obviously, the show looks a lot different to what it used to be like with a family act. It's now obviously a duo. We do a lot more juggling together than what the family used to do and things like that.
Circus element.
Yeah, but that's obviously all developed over the 8 years of working together, developing new skills, trying new things. So yeah, it's been a journey.
So I'll talk about cruise ships in a minute, but other than cruise ships, where have you performed and what are some highlights of your career together?
We do tend to do a lot of corporate work in Australia as well. We've been invited on many international tours with, big artists, part of variety shows, part of a tour called Razzmatazz, which is a great organisation that works for like charities for kids who are not very well and on disadvantaged families and things like that. So that's always very rewarding performing for those kinds of people who enjoy it so much. And in
the UK we do like a season on land there as well, and travel around in our camper van and pretty much do a show every night for 3 months, so that keeps us on our toes
as well. Wow. Absolutely.
Now, Rebecca, I recall it was mentioned during the show that you didn't have a background in juggling, which was much to my surprise because you looked like you'd been juggling for years and years and years, but rather in dance or acrobatics or both. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I was a dancer since 3 years old. Absolutely loved it all my life. Like I said, I went to college for 2 years to study full-time dance, and never did I ever imagine I would be juggling later on in my life. But life's funny like that. Sometimes it presents you with opportunities that you don't expect. And I'm very glad that I just said yes and gave it a go, because it's, led me to what we're doing now, which I love. Obviously very uncomfortable and challenging sometimes, but I think sometimes you need to be put in those situations to allow you to grow and to do new things. And life surprises you in that way sometimes. So I'm very glad that I said yes.
So James, how long did it take you to teach Rebecca how to juggle?
Not long. I mean, she had a lot of passion. So it was probably like 3 months before you started to really understand how to do like a juggling pattern. And then it just went from there, because obviously there's lots of objects. There's juggling balls, rings, clubs. But yeah, probably about 3 months before you were like, okay, you can juggle on stage kind of thing, which is pretty quick.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. Was she a good student?
She is a great student. Yes, she is. Like that. Nah. Yeah, she is good.
Like, what else were you going to say?
Yeah, I know. Pay for it later.
So we saw you after night 2. We saw you again. I can't remember, maybe night 12 or 13 of the cruise, perform a totally different show.
Yeah.
Do you typically do 2 shows during a cruise, or was it just because it was a 16-day cruise?
It depends, really, depending on the amount of time we're on board. So obviously, like you said, this was 16 days. So definitely for the longer contracts, they will get us to do 2 different shows just, to allow for enough entertainment for all the guests for each night. But say if they get us on a cruise ship for maybe 5 days, they might only require the 1 show. So we just do the 1. So it really depends on what the cruise line are after. And yeah, we're just always ready for 2, and we'll just see what happens when we get on board.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been performing for Norwegian Cruise Line?
Oh, actually, James was on Norwegian with his family
when I was 9.
Yeah, he was actually.
Oh wow, long time.
He was on the Spirit.
With the family
for 14 months with his family back in probably 2010, 11.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah. But together as a duo, our first Norwegian ship was 2018. We kind of came on as a duo.
So when you were on the first time, James, that was before, and again, for the listeners, Norwegian Spirit just had $100 million refurbishment. So you saw the original ship. How does it compare?
Yeah, it was more family orientated. There were a lot of kids on board, which was good for me when I was 9 because I had lots of friends. But
Sure.
There used to be lots of slides on the back. It was a bit more kid friendly. But yeah, it's obviously, it looks great with its new refurbished kind of look there. But yeah, it was interesting seeing the old to the new. It's changed a lot. Yeah.
So what other cruise lines have the new iteration of Cameo Rascale performed on?
We've done Celebrity, Cunard, Oceania, and Regent.
Yeah.
And
Princess.
Yeah, a bit of Princess
as well.
Some Royal Caribbean here and there. Mainly Norwegian this year. But it's when we get back to Australia, we tend to do a lot of different cruise lines over there as we're based over there for around 5 months. So, yeah.
So prior to your first performance, well, James, you were 9, but your first performance as a duo, had you cruised for leisure? Not performing your act?
Yeah, I actually never had. So in 2015, our first contract on Celebrity Solstice, that was my first ever time on a cruise ship, which was, pretty wow, amazing. Yeah. It was a big, beautiful ship. But for James, never leisurely has he cruised. It's always been for work.
Yeah.
So Rebecca, approaching that first cruise, were you nervous at all about being seasick or anything like that?
I think I was, because a lot of people, when they heard, oh, you're going on a cruise ship, do you get seasick? That's always kind of the follow-up question. So for me, I was like, well, I actually don't really know. And obviously Australia is notorious for rough seas, especially crossing to New Zealand. And that was actually where our first contract was. So I was kind of anticipating, kind of expecting the worst, but I was absolutely fine. And I've never really been seasick. So I'm very blessed in that regard.
Right.
But yeah, nerves obviously were high. It was a new show. We had really just met. So it was all very exciting.
Everything was new.
Yeah, but absolutely loved it. I was wrapped with the whole thing. Yeah.
So contrast performing on land with performing on a moving ship. Do you notice differences? Are there differences?
Yeah,
absolutely.
The floor moves underneath you, so it makes it hard for our balancing acts. We do a lot of balancing in the show, And it's kind of hard to stand still sometimes normally on a cruise ship when it's moving around. So it just adds an extra element of difficulty, doesn't it? I mean, it keeps us on our toes, literally. It's a good challenge for us. I mean, sometimes it's moving a lot and you kind of think, oh, we could be in for it here. You know, you don't know what could happen. And it can potentially become a little bit dangerous if you're not switched on, you know, mentally. You have to really prepare yourself before the show and go, okay, we know our skills, we know our show well, let's tackle this, you know, and do it safely.
Yeah. I think it does make you almost better. Like it's like anything in life. If you do something a little bit harder or with an added challenge, and then you take that challenge away, which for us is performing on a non-moving stage on dry land, and we almost feel stronger within our skill set because we've done it more difficult, you know, at times, and then you take that away and it's almost makes you better. So there is a positive to it.
Yeah.
I guess.
So I know it's challenging enough just being on a moving ship. Have you ever been performing a show and the ship ran into really rough seas?
Yeah, we've been in 8-meter swell before, crossing from Australia to New Zealand. From memory, yeah, it was pretty rough. I think they asked us, you know, are you comfortable performing? Is it too much? But we said yes, we'll give it a go. I think we maybe made a few modifications and obviously took precaution when doing lifts. But we're very do it kind of people. So we're like, yep, like we can do this, you know.
Yeah, we say a little prayer before the show and then we just go out and do it.
Yeah.
I figured you would say that because you struck me when I watched you as being up for any challenge.
Yeah, we try.
So how do you spend your time on the cruise ship when not performing, especially on like a long cruise like we just did?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time at the gym, don't we?
Yeah.
We try to, at least an hour or so a day, just working out at the gym. Because we got different exercises that we both do separately that we know works well for our bodies and stuff. And then we'll, aside from the gym, try and train somewhere. If we have free space in the theatre or something, at a time, we try and practice some of our juggling and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Other than that, maybe I like, you know, we like reading. James likes editing. Obviously, we do a lot of travel and we film a lot of our adventures. So James always tries to put some footage and things together.
As memories, you know.
Yeah. Sleeping, eating, just all the regular things you do on a cruise ship as well, I guess.
So do you get off at all the port stops?
Yes. We love to. Yeah.
Love exploring.
Love to get off and explore. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that you do get you did get into town in Ketchikan because we actually ran into you at a seafood restaurant, and I'm so glad that we did.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
So
very good timing.
Good food as well.
So our listeners, of course, are passionate cruisers. What cruise ships will you be performing on in the near future?
This year, we've got a lot of Norwegian booked up. So in 2 days' time, we actually join Norwegian Escape in Miami, and that's going to be sailing around the Caribbean and Bahamas kind of area, which we've never done before together. So we're very excited for that. We've got
Jade.
Norwegian Jade in Europe. We've got Norwegian Epic in Europe as well. Also a Regent cruise in August, which will be around the Mediterranean. Regent, obviously very luxurious line, which
nice.
We love to experience as well. And
that's high end. That's on my bucket list.
High end.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes. And then Norwegian Star, Norwegian Getaway, and then when we return back to Australia, we get back on Queen Elizabeth, a Cunard line.
Yep.
And that's all I can think of at the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a few more in there that I've missed. Yeah.
So besides cruise ships, are you currently working on any projects, any upcoming tours?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're trying to put together like a variety show with some other artists that we've met over the years, performing on the cruise ships with a lot of other entertainers as well. We've sort of put together like a dream team, you could call it, and we're trying to put on a circus variety show in our hometown, and we did in March, didn't we?
Yeah,
this year.
we debuted. It's called Cirque Naval, so it's basically a circus variety show. We come together with a lot of other circus artists and kind of bring all different skill sets and things like that. James's dad, who obviously, as you know, was a performer himself as well, he's actually in the show as our
wow.
So
brought him out of retirement, which he loves.
It went down really well in Mandurah. We had sold out shows and things like that. So we're anticipating to kind of keep rolling with this, keep developing the idea, and hopefully do another and bigger regional tour next April 2024 in Western Australia. So we're excited for that.
Do you suppose you'll ever do a tour in the United States?
Oh,
yeah, wherever
to.
it takes us, the opportunity that would be great. To get the team over there, and we just have to see how it goes in Australia, and then hopefully we can take it to places like America.
Absolutely.
It'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, if that ever comes about, let me know, and I'll promote it to death, because I think that everyone should get to see you. I mean, as I mentioned in the introduction, you're not like any juggling act I've ever seen before. So to call you a juggling act is selling you short. And so I think people who are non-cruisers would love to see you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Thanks. Means a lot.
So how can our listeners follow Cameo Rascale on social media and the internet?
We've got Facebook, Instagram, and a YouTube channel as well. So if you type Cameo Rascale into any of those platforms, you'll be sure to find us on there.
And we do like a Life of an Entertainer series on YouTube, and we kind of just document our travels as well on the cruise ships there. We send it off to our family so they can see what we're up to over the 7 months that we're away. But Life of an Entertainer on YouTube is there as well. But you can find that through Cameo Rascale, can't you?
Yeah.
And on YouTube, we can see some of your act, right?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some show promotional videos and things like that. So definitely.
Well, to my listeners, I urge you to check them out on YouTube, because you'll just be blown away. So, besides cruising as part of your profession, are you travelers? Do you have any leisure travel booked? Not necessarily cruises, just travel.
Yes, yeah. Actually, after this next contract that we're going on Norwegian Escape, we have about 5 days off between our next contract. So we've actually booked a trip to Vegas, which we've never been.
Oh,
yeah. We're going to see some shows, which we're very much looking forward to, and also do a little bit of a road trip to the Grand Canyon. So yeah, we're very excited for that.
Yeah, we went to Vegas. I guess it was right before the pandemic shut down, and your show would fit right in. There's a lot of what's called permanent or house shows, I guess, in Vegas. They don't, someone who performs year round, and I could easily see your show as being a permanent show in Vegas. But if that's your first time, you're going to have a great time.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to check it out and see if there's opportunity for us as well. Yeah, that would be great.
So thinking long term, what's on your bucket list? What long term aspirations do you have? Either travel or performing or life in general?
I think for us, we really like to pursue this variety show that we're creating at the moment. So Cirque Naval, we're really wanting to get off the ground and hopefully tour that Australia wide and take it even further, like we were just saying, to the international, to US and things like that. Another priority, I think, is having a family. We do want to have a family one day.
At some stage.
When we can fit that in on the schedule. But that's definitely a priority.
We like the producing side of things as well. Like, as we're getting older, I mean, you can't obviously do acrobatics forever, and it's nice to kind of move, but still be in the industry at the same time. So producing shows for us and putting together variety shows is something that might be in the future on the cards as well.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, best wishes with that. Before we let you go, a couple of light or fun cruise questions, and then perhaps an oddball question that's not really cruise related. So the first cruise question, what's your favorite cruise drink or cruise food or both?
My favorite cruise food. I like when they do like good chicken wraps, like kebabs and shamas.
I thought you were going to say his favorite dessert, and actually both of us probably, is the baked Alaska.
Baked Alaska.
Yeah, they usually do that.
You would have had that, right?
Yeah.
Did you try any of the specialty restaurants on Spirit?
Yes,
yes,
we tried Silk, isn't it?
Yeah,
called Silk.
the Asian. Yeah, that was lovely.
I like that.
Yes.
Food. Yeah, it's
Yes.
great.
Mm-hmm. So Rebecca, what's your favorite cruise food?
Oh, I would have to say the baked Alaska on the last nights is pretty much is something to look forward to.
It's like heaps of different ice creams with like cream and sponge cake. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Second question, what's your most memorable or funny or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
I'm just talking about this.
Yeah, memorable would have to be pretty close to the one that we just did, the Alaska cruise. It's just so scenic, like there's not many places in the world where you can cruise into like glaciers and things like that. It's pretty surreal.
And in Juneau, we did the helicopter tour and dog sled tour. So that was just phenomenal. It was like an experience of a lifetime. So I think, what we just did recently is pretty much up there with one of the most memorable. Definitely something we won't forget anytime soon.
And then I suppose it's not embarrassing, but one of the funny stories is like losing our luggage completely and being on a cruise for 2 weeks with just like what we had on. that was pretty challenging because we lost.
Oh my goodness!
Kept getting sent to the next port, but we kept missing it on the cruise ship. So we had no luggage for a while there. That's definitely memorable for me.
Wow! But you eventually recovered
we did.
it?
We found it. Someone just randomly rocked up at the terminal and just gave us our case that we hadn't seen for a while, and we were like, "Thanks."
But your equipment or the apparatus you use for your show, that wasn't lost, right? I mean, you had your costumes and your.
It was everything was lost, so we couldn't actually do the show that cruise. So we were just,
so you didn't perform.
No,
oh wow,
we didn't have anything with us except for a t-shirt.
All of your rings and bowling pins and bowling balls and knives and your axes that you said you got at your axes from Walmart.
Walmart. There's a lot of stuff in there that's hard to replace on the spot,
Wow. Finally, James and Rebecca, I know that you have a following, and welcome to the Cameo Rascale fans listening. Share one thing that my listeners and your fans don't know about James and Rebecca.
That's a great question. I personally love running camps back at home. I love camping. I love the outdoors. Even though I've lived on a cruise ship for so long in a cabin, I really like just being in the outdoors and running camps for like disadvantaged kids, like Christian camps. And so that personally for me is something that I suppose most people don't know about.
Wow, that sounds very fulfilling.
Yes, it is very fulfilling. Yeah.
How about you, Rebecca?
For me, probably something people don't know is I'm a Pilates instructor. So I actually love teaching Pilates and doing Pilates myself. So that's kind of like my other passion in life, I guess. But yeah, we love living in Australia. We love our home. I think it's, you kind of live these two kind of weird different lives, traveling on the road, cruising, performing, things like that. But then we also love the simple things in life, which is just sitting at home at the dinner table with our own cooked food. It's the little things in life that make us really happy as well. So very blessed.
Well, I interview a lot of passionate cruisers, and Australia is on the I always ask people what's on their bucket list, and Australia is on the top of a lot of people's bucket list, and it's certainly on my bucket list. So if I ever get over there, I'll try to find out what you're doing, where you're touring, and come and see you.
Always welcome. We can pick you up and give you a little tour.
Show you around.
Absolutely.
It'll take a while to get around Australia, but we can try our best.
Try our best.
All right. Well, James and Rebecca, thank you so much for agreeing to join us at the Joy of Cruising, and continued best wishes to Cameo Rascale. I have to say that it looks like the sky's the limit for you guys, and I wish you the best.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the opportunity of chatting. It's great to hear what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Your listeners and your fans. It's great.
Absolutely. I love it.
All right. I am so appreciative that you did this. Thank you so much.
No worries, Paul.
Anytime.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted can be ordered at the link on the joyofcruisingpodcast.com, each for $16.99 plus shipping. Order the soon-to-be-released The Joy of Cruising Again, also at joyofcruisingpodcast.com for $18.99. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. Again, the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast. Enter to win a copy of The Joy of Cruising or Cruising Interrupted while supplies last at thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group, or both, to increase your chance to win. A winner will be announced on each show. Please leave us a review and tell a friend. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed the brief escape to the ocean. See you next week. Exciting news, passionate cruisers. The Joy of Cruising Again book was just released. Order the ebook at your favorite online retailer. The paperback can be ordered by copying the web address listed at the podcast website, www.thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. Don't forget to use the coupon code Joy of Cruising Podcast to get $4 off. We think you'll enjoy the new book as much as Paul enjoyed writing it, and we would love to hear your comments at the Joy of Cruising Again Facebook page or at the Joy of Cruising Instagram page. Thank you.